Hello my lovely people and welcome to Owen's Mind, a light-hearted trip through the contents of my head and the world in general. It is Sunday the 3rd of November, my name is Owen and here is what is on my mind today. So, how are we? We are into November, so hope you had a good Halloween. I hope you're doing lots of nice things for a bonfire night. Yeah, it's been a pretty good weekend for me so far. My TV is broken down again, so I mentioned before that it was in for repair anyway. Exactly the same issues happened, it just won't turn on. Standby light comes on, go to turn it on with the remote, the standby light goes off, the panel's just dead. Anyway, I've rung the store literally 2 minutes ago, they said bring it in, we'll replace it for you or we'll refund it, so that's nice. So once I've recorded this and it's uploading, I'm going to be off over there, so hopefully I'll have a good success story next time I speak to you. But apart from that, it's been a pretty good weekend, it's been a pretty good week in general, so let's get on to it. Let's get into our Sunday stories. So as always, I've picked out 5 stories making headlines today I wanted to give my thoughts on. Links are in the description below so you can read each article in full and show those original publications some love. So without any further ado, let's get straight into it. Story number 1. This is on BBC News today. Donald Trump, raucous reception for Trump at the mixed martial arts. Okay, so raucous does not necessarily mean a good thing. So he was met with raucous boos and some cheers on Saturday as he attended the Ultimate Fighting Championship in New York. The president attended the mixed martial arts event with high-ranking Republicans and his sons Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump. There was a small protest group outside Madison Square Garden Arena, but inside there was a mixed response, shall we say, to go along with the mixed martial arts. So it comes less than a week after he was booed at the 5th game of the Baseball World Series in Washington, D.C., when, you know, people booing and they were cheering, lock him up, mirroring some of the chants I've heard of his rallies in regards to his presidential rival Hillary Clinton. So these were kind of yelled back at him, and this is all about the current impeachment investigation about him, his quid pro quo alleged with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky. So to investigate his rival, you know, for Joe Biden for 2020 and Hunter Biden and the whole Burisma company and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, so that's what's caught it on. So he goes to the mixed martial arts thing, and there were signs in the crowd that said remove Trump and impeach Trump and that sort of thing. However, there was, in all fairness, there was some cheers, there was some clapping apparently, but there was lots of boos and profanity from others. So video from the crowd spread on social media. His son Donald Trump Jr. hit back on Twitter saying the reception had been overwhelmingly positive, and that UFC President Dana White, a longtime friend of the president's, had called it the most electrifying entrance he'd seen in 25 years. So this is, take these Dana White's comments in context because he's a big fan of the president, and UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championship, is an American MMA promotion company. Its first mixed martial arts events were held in 1993. From humble beginnings, it now boasts millions of fans worldwide and produced superstars like McGregor and, you know, Ronda Rousey. Trump hosted some of the early UFC events when others wouldn't go nowhere near it. So Dana White previously said, I would never say anything negative about Donald Trump because he was there when other people weren't. So, yeah, so basically, it's never a dull moment. Like I say, this is not a political channel, so I'm not going to say this is right, this is wrong, this kind of thing. I'm just giving you the news and my thoughts upon it. So, yeah, he got a mixed reaction from the crowd. You know, and obviously this is piggybacking off the one earlier in the week at the baseball game where that was a very negative response. Couple of observations. Number one is, you know, whatever your politics, whatever you think about him, he's always newsworthy. He's always got a good story in him. The thing is with this, and it's the same with impeachment, it's the same with so many things, and when he is pulled up on things, those around him come out to defend him, but they do it in such an obviously fraudulent way. So they don't, you know, they've come out straight away and said, oh no, it wasn't that all, it was, you know, it was the most electrifying entrance. And it's like, no, because there's video proof that it wasn't. There's video proof of these things happening. So when you come out and say they didn't, or that wasn't the case, we can directly contradict what you're saying. You know, you need to balance it. It's like with everyone about the phone call to Zelensky and all this lot. Trump's going, it's a perfect phone call, perfect. But then even the transcript is going, no, it's not. And the White House, released the transcript, which directly contradicts the president saying it's perfect. And you're like, you need to just moderate your language. The idea of politicians have to be able to be orators. They have to be very good with language. Obama was very good with language. And you need to be able to sort of temper people's expectations. When you constantly say, when the evidence says black and you're like, no, it's not, it's white. It's like, no, it's not that clear. You can't just come out and say that wasn't the case when it very clearly is the case and there is video footage of it being the case. You need to come out and say, yes, some of the reactions, you need to sort of spin it in your favor. If they'd come out and said, this is America, land of the free, free speech, people have got every right to demonstrate, people have got every right to voice their disapproval. People can say, what, I don't agree with my politics. And that's fine. They have the right to do that. We have fought for these freedoms for them to do that. But on the other hand, there was a lot of positive stuff. And even the article says there was some positive stuff in there. So rather than give a balanced one, which people can then say, yeah, that's a measured response. He's acknowledging that some people didn't like it, but he's also acknowledging that some people did like it. Coming out and just going, no, it's brilliant. No, we can say that. We can disprove it. And then it just makes you guys look like idiots. It makes you look like liars. So then what incentive have we got to believe what you say? Whereas if you came out with a moderate, measured response, so yeah, there's been some negative comments, but there's a lot of positive stuff there as well. I shook a lot of hands, I signed a lot of autographs, I had a lot of people coming up saying, nice things to me, which I'm sure happened as well. Then it's okay, it's like, fair enough, yeah, he's acknowledged that there was some bad stuff, we've got video of the bad stuff, but he's also saying there's some good stuff which we didn't see a video of, but I'm quite prepared to believe that. But just saying, no, it was all perfect. It was a electrifying entrance, and people loved it. When you've got direct evidence that not everyone felt that way, it comes out as deceitful. So, yes, this is the thing with Donald Trump, is like, there'll be another story tomorrow which just casts this one completely in a shadow. So, but there we go. And the hypocrisy of it, when he encouraged this kind of chanting and either lock her up, or he certainly didn't quash it when it happened at his rallies. He just kind of stood there and he's like, yeah, go for it. And the whole build that wall and all this kind of stuff, he encourages that. But when it comes back at him, when exactly the same behaviour he encourages, when he's on the receiving end of it, you can't then say, nah, no, that didn't happen, or it's not fair, or it's not true, or you can't attack a president. It's like, you kind of reap what you sow. Anyway, so there we go. Moving on, story number 2. Not a great story, I'm afraid, guys, but worth reporting on. So Airbnb says it's banning party houses after the Halloween party shooting that killed 5 people. So yeah, this is in BuzzFeed News today. CEO of Airbnb announced that the company will be banning party houses and doubling down on getting rid of abusive host and guest conduct in response to the deadly shooting that broke out during a Halloween party held at an Airbnb rental in Orinda, California. So this was on Thursday. Rented a home in Orinda through a party attended by more than 100 guests, despite the Airbnb host stating that parties are not allowed at that property. 5 people were fatally shot after gunfire broke out, and the Contra Costa County Sheriff's Office is continuing to investigate the tragedy. So on Saturday, Airbnb's co-founder, CEO Brian Chesky, wrote on a Twitter thread announcing a plan of action to carry out a statewide ban on party houses, including implementing a system that will screen and flag for high-risk reservations. Additionally, the company will be creating a dedicated party house rapid response team, Chesky tweeted, before also pledging to take immediate action against users who violate these enhanced guest policies, including removal. When asked how exactly it will determine which listings of party houses or potentially have the potential to be used for parties, representatives told BuzzFeed News they're still in the process of figuring out these variables. All of this is being determined as part of what is a 10-day review being spearheaded by our new VP of Trust, Margaret Richardson, the representative said. Details are apparently still being ironed out. The company is working to support the families and neighbours impacted by the tragedy. Police have identified the victims of the Halloween party shooting. I won't name them all here, but they're all, young people. A guest at the party named Jasmine told BuzzFeed News everything was perfectly fine. Then it was just gunshots. There wasn't an argument before or anything. They just started shooting out of nowhere. I got covered in blood. Somebody next to me got shot. So. The Contra Costa County Sheriff's Office said they were able to locate 2 firearms at the residence, but could not determine if they were the ones used during the shooting. A suspect is also yet to be identified. So, yeah, I don't know if this is a big thing on Airbnb where people, because obviously, you've got a spare room, you've got spare property, you put it up for people to rent, people turn up. Because there's so little attachment to that property, as in it's not, as a guest, it's like, I'm going to be here one night, I'm going to go, and I'm traveling, they're never going to see me again. Maybe there is this, maybe there's a lowered level of care and attention you might pay, and you might have a party and throw it, and it's like, you know what, the next day we're gone and it doesn't matter. But this is rare. I mean, let's face it, it is a rare thing. It's not like this happens every day. But the fact that Airbnb are taking action is a good thing, because it was this collection of people, and for whatever reason led to this tragedy. I mean, who takes firearms to a party unless you intend to use them or you feel threatened yourself? What other reason would you have for carrying a weapon? It's either intended to do harm or protect you from harm. Okay, there is no other reason why you need to carry a weapon. Parties, anything these days is very, very visual on social media and this kind of thing. So again, if the 5 individuals here who lost their lives, it doesn't say in the story anything about them. We don't know if they were targeted or if it was random, but you know, I'm guessing there's going to be, somebody will have posted pictures of this party all over the internet, because that's what happens. It's on your Twitter feed, it's on your Instagram, it's on Facebook. It's like, this is a good time we're having. If somebody saw them pictures and identified a person they want to do harm to, they now know exactly where they are. Again, we don't, this is pure speculation on my part. We don't know what happened. They've yet to apprehend somebody. Let's hope they do. Again, the one benefit of having such social media presence now is that there's going to be footage, there's going to be photos, there's going to be, lots of visual evidence of before and after and during, sadly, at the party. So hopefully they can apprehend the individual or individuals responsible. But yeah, it's just, I mean, Airbnb they're going to do what they can, but it seems quite a hard thing to police. I mean, you know, they are essentially a middleman between people wanting rooms and people who have rooms available. So they're not present on site. So if they book it with all good faith and they have a terms and conditions and you agree to it and you book that room and you agree to it and you want to offer a room, if people break those rules, you're not there to immediately shut it down. Whereas it's now saying they're going to have a rapid response team to, if they are aware that one of their properties on their books is being used for this kind of, for parties or gatherings which it's not designed for, they're going to have teams going in, and it says that one of the options would be removal. They just shut the place down, like everybody out. This is not what this is for, and hopefully action will be taken against those responsible, which will, you know, hopefully serve to minimise this. Again, it is rare, which is why it's newsworthy. But you know, 5 young people. We've got. I will name them because you know these people deserve to be remembered. So excuse me if I mess the names up because they are quite tough for me. But so we've got Tyon Farley, 22 of Antioch, Omar Taylor, 24 of Pittsburgh, Ramon Hill Jr., 23 of San Francisco, Oakland, 29-year-old Javin County, 29 of Sausalito, Richmond, and Oceana Tompkins, 19 of Vallejo, Hercules. 5 young people, you know, between 22 and 29 years old. These just kids at a party, probably they're just having a good time, having the time of their life, and then that's it, because of the reckless actions of an individuals. That's it for them, and it seems such a waste. So anything that can be done to obviously stop this kind of thing, you know, can only be a good thing. So thoughts with the families. Let's hope they catch those responsible, and the punishment is appropriate. Although you'll never get these people back, you know, let's hope justice is done. Anyway, moving on, different kind of story for you. So this is on CNBC today. Google to acquire Fitbit, valuing a smartwatch maker about $2.1 billion. That's a huge amount of money. So Google's parent company Alphabet will buy Fitbit, putting the tech giant head-to-head with Apple in the fitness tracking space. So the deal values Fitbit around $2.1 billion at a fully diluted equity value, according to Friday's announcement. Fitbit stock surged 16%, while shares of Alphabet were up about 0.8%. So Google will pay $7.35 per share in cash for the acquisition, Fitbit said. Fitbit's all-time high share price was $51.90 on August 5th, 2015, a couple of months after its stock market debut at $30.40. Deal is expected to close next year, 2020, according to the announcement. So on Mondays, Fitbit stock surged more than 30% on the news that Alphabet had made an offer to acquire the smartwatch maker. As of Monday's close, Fitbit's market cap sat at 1.5 billion, up 340 million from the previous trading day. It's not a bad day's work, is it, if you're up 340. How much did we make? We're up 340 million. I'll take that. Following the announcement, Google's hardware chief, Rick Osterloh, released a blog post explaining how the acquisition can help Google advance its ambitions for Wear OS, its software for smartwatches. He said, by working closely with Fitbit's team of experts and bringing together the best AI, software and hardware, we can help spur innovation in wearables and build products to benefit even more people around the world. Google also remains committed to Wear OS and our ecosystem partners, and we plan to work closely with Fitbit to combine the best of our respective smartwatch and fitness tracker platforms. Google will not use health and wellness data from Fitbit for its ads. Thankfully, according to the announcement, that didn't convince Representative David Cicilline, who is one of the leaders of an antitrust probe into Google. Cicilline said in a statement, the acquisition would also give the company deep insights into America's most sensitive information. The proposed transaction is a major test of antitrust enforcers' will and ability to enforce the law and halt anti-competitive concentrations of economic power. It deserves an immediate and thorough investigation. The move comes after Google announced a deal to buy $40 million worth of Fossil smartwatch technology in January. Fossil is already one of the primary brands building smartwatches on Google's Wear OS. Buying Fitbit could help Google extend its ambient computing hardware strategy, where the company aims to be part of users' lives wherever they are. The company has also hinted at its health and hardware ambitions with the introduction of several new products in October, including a new Pixel 4 smartphone and the hiring of former Geisinger Health CEO David Feinberg last year to consolidate its healthcare strategy. So, this is because Fitbit has suffered headwinds as Apple's popular smartwatch grows. Fitbit lowered its guidance for the year in its July earnings release, citing weaker than expected sales of its new lightweight watch. So at the end of 2018, Apple owned about half the global smartwatch market in terms of units shipped, according to Strategy Analytics. Google currently licenses its Wear operating system to companies such as Fossil, but does not make its own smartwatch. So yeah, big company buying smaller companies. So from Google's perspective, this is smart because they are buying up the smaller companies. Number one, they're getting the expertise, they're getting the knowledge, they're getting Fitbit, who make the watches, because currently Google do not make one. They make the Wear OS, they make the operating systems for it, so that's going to go onto Fitbit probably, and it's going to go together, and Fossil. So they're buying companies, they're expanding their brand so they can compete with Apple and the Apple's Fitbit. But also what they're doing is they're buying up smaller companies who could potentially be competition in the years to come for other Google products. So it's smart for them. As a consumer, you would hope, fingers crossed and all that, that greater competition for Apple would mean that you get greater innovation, because if you want to be the best and you're competing against big companies, you've either got to put out more desirable products that function more, or you've got to do a better price. So hopefully that's would be the upside of these acquisitions. However, as you know, the gentleman in the article said, the antitrust laws, these companies now have a huge amount of data available from individuals. They're going to know everything about you. And with this thing on your watch, you're essentially low-jacked. They're going to know exactly where you are because they know where this is, and they know this is attached to you, so they know where you are every minute of every day. And they say they're not going to use health information like that. They're not going to use this, they're not going to use that. But how many data breaches have there been over the last 12 months even? How much user data has gone missing? So they might not use it, but you guarantee they're going to harvest it. And them saying we're going to have it, but we're not going to give it to anybody else, so we're not going to use it for targeted ads and that. If somebody manages to break in and access it, then it's out there in the world. And we hear about it all the time. 20 million passwords have been accessed at this company or that company, or a data breach or a hack or so on and so forth. There's a one downside of the modern world, not the one, but one of the downsides of the modern world is that everything is so digital. It's not pen and paper anymore, and it can't be with the amount of data that's trafficked. But it's available, and if you know how to pick the digital lock, then you can get this, and it's been proven to happen. And it's big business, so it's not just like some guy in his back bedroom hacking it. There's companies, there's countries investing millions of pounds, millions of dollars to get into other countries' information, because knowledge is power. So yeah, let's hope from a consumer point of view we get better products at a better price, because competition is king and they need to stay on top. And to stay on top, you either give better products or you give better prices, or both. As regards the kind of data side of it and privacy, let's hope that the whenever companies like this, whenever acquisitions of this size take place or want to take place, they have to be scrutinised and say, well, you know, competition laws state that you can't do this or you can do this, and the antitrust laws and that kind of thing. So let's hope that they do their due diligence and our data and information is kept safe, and we manage to reap the benefits with none of the negatives. Let's hope. So, moving on to story number 4. This is in the Mirror today. If you want to buy a pub, you can buy this one for £1, but it needs some work. So, yeah, this story is in the Mirror. An abandoned 12th century pub has gone up for sale on Rightmove for a shocking £1, making it probably the cheapest drinking establishment in the UK. It was called the popular Mill Beach Pub in Heybridge, Essex. It closed in November 2018 and it was boarded up in April this year. But an advert has now appeared on a popular property website, Rightmove, and it states it's closed and in need of full refurbishment. The 12th large building has 4 bedroom spaces, extensive garden areas, a car park for 40 to 50 cars. It comes complete with a large dining space, kitchen, bar area and fireplace. Essex Live reports. The advert reads, village location close to Malden, Essex, detached public house, by caravan parks, bar and dining areas, 2,382 square feet, 4 bedroom accommodation, extensive garden areas and car park, 450, closed in need of full refurb. So the pub is located near a man-made lake and a caravan and chalet park, which has 129 caravans and 36 chalets. So if you could reopen it and do like a bar restaurant thing, you've got that captive audience. At least, you know, it's the caravan parking doesn't say in the article if it's year round or if it's, you know, just some months, but whatever it happens to be, you've got very, very close potential customers. Before becoming a pub, the building was housed on a piece of land called Barrow Farm. The Malden and Burnham Standard reported. Devastated residents were left baffled when the pub closed and said its owners gave no explanation for shutting it down. People in the area also claimed on social media the pub could be part of a new housing development. Heybridge is a small town with a population of around 8,000. There are several detached homes advertised in Heybridge on Rightmove in around the 500,000 price range, so, you know, quite an affluent area. Sydney Phillips Property Estate Agents, which is selling the pub, has been approached by the Mirror Online for comment, so we've not heard back yet. This is one of those things that strikes me as, what's the catch? Because surely, there's got to be something. There's something that they're not telling you. Because for £1, you could buy it for £1 and knock it down and sell the bricks. Or the land it sits on. If you could buy that plot of land because it's got room for 40 to 50 cars, you know, so is it, what is it? What is the catch? There's something there, because otherwise it's like, I'll buy it for £1 because there's no downside. Why would you put something like that? If this has got pub that needs a full refurb, admittedly, there's a lot of pubs in this country which have been boarded up, you know, they're having a hard time because of various factors. So why is this one different? Now, it doesn't say if it's an auction or not. It could be an auction. It's like there's no reserve on it, so it's up for £1, and it's going to go for hundreds of thousands. I suspect that's probably what it is. I've not checked it on Rightmove, but that's probably what it's going to be. Excuse me, I'm going to cough. If that's not the case, why do that? Because just buying a square footage of land with nothing on it for £1 would be an absolute steal. The housing development that people alleged, no, it can't be that, because again, they wouldn't offer it for £1 if there was a potential to build half a dozen luxury houses on it and make millions. So I don't know what it is. It's intriguing, isn't it? It's one of the things you like to go around. It's one of the things that anyone can go look around. You know, there's really nice houses I want to look around, but you take one look at me and it's like, yeah, we're not going to waste our time showing this around because you probably can't afford it. Whereas you could turn up at this one and pull £1 out of your pocket, like, I've got the asking price, let me have a look around. There's loads of pictures in the article, so you can kind of see the inside. And yeah, it's dated. Yes, it needs a full refurb, but structurally, if it's sound, and you've got this potential, you know, it says local residents were devastated, so it tells me that it's, you know, it's not one of a dozen pubs in the area. It had local significance, and you've got these caravan chalets all around it, you know, and you've got 8,000 residents in a nearby town. And it just strikes me as an awful lot of potential for a tiny bit of money, and I'm suspicious. Anyway, if you know anything about it, let me know in the comments, but I suspect it's going to be a zero reserve auction for £1, and it's going to go for big money. Anyway, if I find out about it, I will just drop it at the beginning of a future video. Anyway, moving on, final story. This is brilliant, this story. So this is in the Telegraph today. The battle over the 40 million pink diamond bought by Qatari royals as Christie is sued over the stolen gem. So this is like a movie. It's fantastic. I'm going to read the article pretty much word for word because there's so much information in here. So, the son of a high-flying Italian senator is taking Christie to court in New York City this week over the sale of one of the world's most expensive diamonds, which he claims was stolen from his family. Again, there's lots of European names in this. I apologise if I butcher them. I'm going to do my best. So, Amedeo Angiolillo, who now lives in New York, argues that the auction house processed the sale of the 40 million gem, $31 million, $40 million, £31 million, despite him raising concerns about its provenance. The Princey diamond, as it's known, was bought by a member of the Qatari royal family. Christie's, however, insists that the family members have no proof the diamond belongs to them, but furthermore their client, who bought it from another family member, had every right to sell the stone. So the story began 300 years ago when the 34-carat pink diamond was first recorded in India. It came from the famed Golconda mines near Hyderabad, 400 miles east of Mumbai. The diamond was from a fine family of other celebrated stones, including the Agra diamond, the Hope diamond in the Smithsonian, and the Koh-i-Noor, which forms part of the crown jewels. So it's in good company. The diamond was first known as being part of the collection of the Nizam, or King of Hyderabad. It was passed down through the generations until last Nizam, Mir Osman Ali Khan, decided to sell it in the late 1940s through Sotheby's. It was bought by a Paris jeweler and then sold on. So, this is when it comes into the family. So, in 1960, the flamboyant Italian senator Renato Angiolillo purchased the diamond at Van Cleef & Arpels the same year he married his second wife, Maria. It had been named the Princey in honour of the 14-year-old Prince of Baroda, a former state of India, who came to the party that year at the Van Cleef & Arpels store in Paris along with his mother. Candida Morvillo, an Italian investigative journalist who has been following the story of the diamond for years, said that Angiolillo's son, Amedeo, told her that his father bought the diamond in Paris. "My father bought the diamond in the 60s, he reportedly said. He had lost a lot of money at the casino in Monte Carlo, about 700 or 800 million lira. He wanted to prove that they are still rich and solid, so he bought the diamond." Angiolillo, founder of Italy's Il Tempo newspaper, died in 1973, aged 72. His glamorous widow, known as the Queen of the Rome Salons for her lively soirees and political debate, died in 2009. When Amedeo Angiolillo went through his stepmother's extensive art and jewellery collection, he was shocked to find the diamond missing. Okay, so here we go. Unbeknownst to him, his stepbrother, Girani's son from a previous relationship, Marco Milella, had taken the stone. The question is whether the diamond was rightfully Mr. Angiolillo's or Mr. Milella's. Under Italian law at the time, the court documents explain all of the late senator's possessions should have gone to his children, not his spouse, unless they were explicitly left to her. His will said his wife should keep their home near the Spanish Steps in Rome and its lavish furnishings, but nothing else was mentioned. So the lawsuit argues that the rest of the estate, including the diamond, belongs to his descendants. Mr. Angiolillo and 4 grandchildren are the plaintiffs in this case. But the auction house and its co-defendants said that the diamond set in a ring was a gift to Mr. Milella's mother and was so owned by her when her husband died. And even if the transfer of ownership between them was not official, the defendants argued the way she kept control of the ring in the decades that followed his death made it legally hers. Okay, by 2013, the diamond was long gone. Mr. Milella had sold it years earlier for nearly $20 million to a prominent gems dealer in Switzerland named David Goll. Mr. Goll, who has also said he believed Miss Milella had clear title to the diamond, then worked with Christie's to sell it as part of a jewellery auction in 2013. Right, this is the killer statement for me. Prior to the 2013 auction of the diamond, the 2 main representatives of the family expressly withdrew any objection to the sale, Christie said. Then 2 years after the successful sale, they sued to claim inheritance rights to the proceeds without providing any significant new information to support the title claim. So yes, the auction house has described the matter dismissively as an inheritance dispute among family members. So it's intriguing, isn't it? It could be a film about the story of this diamond and how it's travelled, and betrayal and theft or potential theft and who's got the rights to it. So, but for me, that's the kind of killer thing. So prior to the 2000 auction sale, the two main representatives of the family withdrew any objection to the sale. So they didn't object to the sale. Then 2 years after the sale, they sued and claimed inheritance rights, but they didn't provide any new evidence as to why. They previously said, no objections, you sell it. And then 2 years later, it's like, yeah, actually, no, we weren't happy you did that. So for me, Christie's are in the right here. If you're going to sell it and the people who have the right to object choose not to, you give them the option. Any objection to this item being sold because you were mentioned in the provenance, however long back, and they say no, and then they come back and say, well, yeah, now we do. What are their reasons for coming back? What are their reasons for waiting 2 years? Is money now? Do they need the money? Do they? What is it? It's intriguing. It could so easily be a movie. But this just speaks to a lot of wills and everyone wants their slice of the pie when a relative dies, and it sadly becomes more about the financial side as opposed to honouring the memory of those who've gone. You hear about it all the time. It's so common, isn't it? It's like, oh, well, people fighting over the will because this person didn't deserve it, or this person, she only married him for his money, etc., etc., etc. So, yes, so we're going to find out about this 31 million pound? 31 million pound diamond, which is literally, by the sound of it, just doing more harm than good for this family. It's tearing them into, they're turning on each other, and this is right and this is wrong, and this is stolen and this is not stolen. We've got provenance. No, you haven't. And again, it says that it says Miss Malala. It says that the way she kept control of the ring in the decades that follows his death made it legally hers. So the fact that they've never, tried to retrieve it from her, they were happy for her to have it, supports kind of Christie's claim. It's like, well, it says you found out it was missing. You were surprised not to find it in her belongings, but the will said that, you get the house and the thing, but not contents and this kind of thing. So they knew where it was, and they didn't, from the sound of the article, they didn't actually make any kind of claim to get it back at that point. They waited and waited and waited, and then it went for sale, and they still didn't object. And then it was sold for huge amounts of money, and now they object. So, yeah, I don't know. You should. Why does it always come down to money? Why does it always become such a mess? So, yeah, I think Christie's been doing this a long time, and they are going to know. And they've got a team. They've probably got teams and teams of lawyers and historians and people who work with them to say, we have got every right to sell this, or we haven't. Because they'll have people checking to make sure items are genuine, make sure there's nothing fraudulent going through the auction house. So they will have people knowing this, and they will be able to trace the history back of this item. And in fact, somebody came to them and said, we want to sell this. They will have looked into the fact, especially an item of that value and that provenance. This goes back, this is taken from the same mine where some of the crown jewels came from. They're not just going to go, yeah, we'll sell that for you. They're going to know, and they're going to be 100% sure, which is why they're kind of off the cuff comments at the end. Describe the matter dismissively, an inheritance dispute among family members. They are perfectly secure in the fact that they did nothing wrong. And what little stated in the article, I think that's become very clear as well. So there we go. Anyway, so that's it, guys. Links to all the stories I've discussed can be found in the description below, so feel free to go and check them out. Let me know what you think about this video and tell me, would you buy that pub for £1? And if not, what's the best bargain you've ever got? What is the best item or service you've ever got for the lowest amount of money? Answers in the comments, please, along with any of your thoughts you'd like to share. These were mine. They're not necessarily important. They're not necessarily right or wrong. They're just what was on my mind. So until next time, bye for now.